Hello and welcome to the What the Nuck podcast, the podcast for Canucks fans. For once, I'm your host Pravi, joined by my good friend and co-host Gunbeer.
Yeah, Jordan couldn't make it. He was watching the Planet of the Apes, which is definitely forgivable because I goddamn love Planet of the Apes. So the guy definitely couldn't make it.
It's not that he couldn't make it; it's that he didn't want to make it. Like he chose, prioritize something else. And I actually don't blame him with the way the Canucks are playing recently.
Yeah, honestly, talking about them is getting a little tough, right?
Yeah. It's not as sunshine and rainbows and as it was like when the season first started, but that's more recent. We're going to go back a little bit to a day that probably saw Canucks Nation a little frustrated with the team, and I want to get your opinion on it. I don't believe we ever discussed the trade deadline and what the Canucks actually did, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the right course, or do you think the team should actually went out and maybe got like another depth piece, or everybody was talking about getting a top four defenseman? Are you okay with them not doing anything, or were you like the rest of or majority of the fan base and were extremely let down?
I was let down.
Yeah.
Like, let's first off say he's already done his trade deadline. He's got Zadorov, he got Lindholm, he did get us those pieces.
Yeah.
We were hoping for more pieces. Gensel was an absolute tease those 2 days.
Oof.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, he's coming here. We got a three-way trade. Like, there was details about this trade coming out
Yeah.
and everything. It was an absolute mess. Everything was happening. He goes to Carolina. I just don't know Carolina prospects well enough to say if that's a good trade.
Yeah.
The fact that he even get a guaranteed first kind of shocks me.
Yeah. That's
But
ridiculous.
I think everyone was trying to lowball them. That happens. Toffoli's the one that really shook me.
Yeah.
A second and a third for Toffoli. I know we only have next year we have no picks this year, and then we'd be selling for next year. But with how the top six has been looking and all the issues and stuff like that, Toffoli, I think fixes your power play. He fixes your top six issues. He fixes a lot on this team, and I was really hoping we'd get him.
Yeah.
But then even on top of that, I was hoping we get at least something.
I think the biggest miss on for me, like for this team on trade deadline day, was seeing the price that Chris Tanev went for, and
Yeah.
just surprised that we couldn't match it. I think maybe salary retention played a big part in a lot of the deals, but the fact is, I'm pretty sure the Devils retained on the Toffoli deal. I don't get how we couldn't have matched that.
It was a second and a third for Toffoli, I believe.
Yeah, and that's a price I would be willing to pay, 100%.
For Toffoli, yeah. I just don't know how we didn't do anything. I don't know if we were just way too many of our eggs are in the basket of just getting Gensel, and then we just other teams kind of just ran over us in other aspects.
Ran out of time. Absolute
Oh
classic.
god. Honestly, maybe that's what happened. That trade deadline, I don't know, just because of how the team was performing around then, that how Lindholm's been performing, which I'm sure we'll get into on this pod.
Mhm.
Everything's kind of looked a little bit shaky. I was
Yeah.
hoping that something would be added, maybe, but wasn't the case.
It was nothing better than I think it was 4 minutes before the actual deadline, so it was 11:56 Pacific Standard, and one of the guys just tweets out the Canucks are done for the day, and I'm like, did they start the day? I didn't know they were done. Like, what do you?
It's not like they did nothing. They didn't even do stuff they said they were gonna do. We couldn't even get Phil Kessel.
Yeah, facts, dude.
Poor guy's been stuck in Abbotsford for a month.
Yeah, he shows up and they're like, yeah, Phil, you're just not where. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people, including I was hyped on Phil Kessel. I still am. I wish we would have signed him, but he was never actually the right fit.
Yeah, he was just been a nice little piece,
Yeah,
locker room guy. Won the cup and everything.
good for the
Pittsburgh boy, and
storylines.
we have enough of
Yeah,
those on the team.
good for the
But just the fact we
storylines
got
and
nothing
everything.
out of it, not even
Yeah,
Phil Kessel.
yeah, that was a rough day for Canucks fans, and it's just like you said, the team made their additions with Lindholm and Zadorov and Friedman and Lafferty. They've been doing it throughout the year, but it really just like made for such a boring and just an absolute letdown of a day for Canucks fans. Other teams, it was just there's that SpongeBob meme where it's Squidward in the house and it's Patrick and SpongeBob playing outside. That's how I felt. I was like,
Yeah, honestly,
I want to.
Colorado picked up 14 different pieces.
Oh my god, dude! Every time I look at my
Vegas did that
phone,
bullshit with Hurdle.
Vegas honestly gets Hurdle, Hannafin, and
Hannafin.
Anthony Mantha. So
Yeah.
they load it up. But this isn't a
Yeah, that's what I
Vegas
mean, like, Mantha we
podcast.
couldn't get as well. Like, just get
Yeah.
some winger just so we can top in our toss into our top 6
Yeah,
was the hope.
I was hoping we would go for, like, Max Pacioretty, but apparently he just didn't wanna move. He wanted his
Yeah, like, I
family to
wanted
be
to
able
stay
to
in the
stay.
Caps.
Well,
And they're still in the
respect
playoff
for
run.
that. Yeah.
The
Yeah, I
Caps,
guess.
so it's like, I kinda get it, like, we might say, "Oh, the Caps, like, they can't," and stuff, but, like, these players, man, like, when they've been playing with this team all year, it'd be kinda disrespectful, like, "Yeah, well, like, I wanna get traded." So I respect him wanting to stay there a lot, because like,
Yeah,
he wants to go out with the boys that he's played all year with.
yeah. Well, everything about the trade deadline was a letdown. The Canucks coming out of the trade deadline actually weren't. So we actually saw the team that hasn't been changed since the Lindholm trade, and maybe Podkolzin gets called up since then, but for the most part, the team's still the same. There hasn't been any major additions like that, and the team goes in. Everybody's still frustrated that the team hasn't done anything or didn't do anything for trade deadline, and they followed it up with wins over the Kings, the Golden Knights, and the Jets. What is your like thoughts on that 3 game stretch that the boys had?
It was a Ducks right before, right? It was a 4-game stretch. Ducks don't really
Yeah,
count because 'cause they're not a
Ducks.
real team.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah, so
never counting the Ducks.
they had a terrible February, it was awful, the boys aren't doing well at all, and then I think Grady said it on the last pod, he's like, "Yeah, the Ducks are a freebie, and then you just gotta get back into it."
Mhm.
And they got back into it.
Yeah.
Like, these it was not, not our classic, because I think we were getting pumped as well. There was, like, the 10-7 Minnesota game and everything. And then we get into like a nice 2-1 win, a 3-1 win, a 5-0 win.
Yeah.
And it was just well, 2-2-1 wins as well. Like, it was complete games from the boys, like, they were doing great. And then that 4-game stretch was like, okay, this is the real Canucks. These are the ones we needed. We didn't need no trade deadline. All right.
Yep.
We don't need these players. We are a team. I will say, sorry, just back to the trade deadline stuff. I don't I still think we're contenders. I want that on record.
Yeah.
I don't care if we didn't add. We're still goddamn contenders. I don't know where people are getting. I've been seeing so many goddamn posts without us being like in the thing,
Yep.
but we're still contenders, still top of the league. Well, not top of the league, but up there.
Well, I think we're like top 3 still.
Yeah,
Um,
we're still top three. Stuff happens.
I think out of those, a lot of people are gonna look at the Jets game where we won 5-0, and a lot of people are like, "That was the Canucks' best game."
Oh
Maybe,
yeah.
but the most impressive game was probably the Kings game where they won 2-1, and the LA Kings fans just not being happy about the 1-3-1 that they're well, not they weren't happy about the 1-3-1, but they were not
Oh
happy
my
that Quinn Hughes would
god.
move the puck up. So,
I was blocked out of my mind. I was like, what happened in that Kings game that we went 2-1? Oh my god,
yeah,
I hate that goddamn team. They played 1-3-1 the entire time, and they kept booing us when
it was
Hughes would like take his time.
yeah. The Kings play style is very like frustrating to play against. Um, but the boys came away with the win in that one, and then they followed it up with like a huge win against the Golden Knights, and the Golden Knights had Mantha and Hannafin for that game. So that wasn't just oh, Hannafin's still on his way over and stuff like that. Like they had like 2 out of their 3 big like acquisitions at the trade deadline, and the boys took care of business there. Like out of those 3 games, which would you say is your like favorite?
I only got to see highlights of the Vegas game, but it definitely wasn't the Kings game, and it can't be that one. So it was Winnipeg.
Yeah,
It was right away they dominate them, and then they kept dominating them. That was the thing. They went up like they scored right away. I think they're up 3 in the first period, and then they just continued to work them.
yeah,
The thing, Vegas obviously it's a real team. That's like a cup favorite right there easily.
yeah.
Kings, I just still don't believe in. I don't believe with their
No,
goaltending and everything. I just don't believe in them. So, but Winnipeg, that's a team I also believe in.
yeah,
So that was why it's like, damn, we worked them.
yeah,
Same with the Vegas game too. Like those, that's the two things that make me very confident. We'll get into these last 2 games we've had, but
mhm,
those two right there show the confidence we have. It's just
yeah,
getting the consistency to land.
yeah. Well, honestly, I think you've summed that up like pretty nicely. If we were to go over to the last 2 games, the final point I want to make about those 3 games is the Golden Knights, the Kings, and the Jets. Vancouver had I think, lost their first matchup against all those teams so far,
No.
right? So this, I think Vancouver's sort of building an identity for, yeah, they may lose the first matchup, but they're gonna come back and like at least put up a solid fight in the second. Because it happened with the Rangers where they lost the first matchup and then they beat the Rangers, and then it happened with the, I think, the Lightning as well, and then they beat the Lightning. It happened with the Leafs where the Leafs beat them and then they beat the Leafs. Like, the team comes up and shows up in usually games 2 and 3 against the team. The one team that they haven't been able to show up in games 2 and 3 is the Colorado Avalanche. So now the team is,
Yeah.
I think, 0-2-1 against the Avs this year. Do you find that kind of concerning, or do you think it's just like, hey, Colorado's a good team at the end of the day? Like, there's a different,
Colorado is a good team, but I don't find it that concerning. At the end of the day, it's 3 games and, like, a couple of bounces can make you win a series versus lose a series, and I guess that's the playoffs too.
yeah,
It's concerning how we lost this last game.
again,
That's my issue with it.
against the Avs.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Just okay, so how I watched this game was I was in a 3-hour exam at like beginning. So I literally finish my exam, go upstairs, it's 3-0, go to make dinner real quick, and then boom, it's 3-2. And they just get worked the rest of the game.
yeah,
That was my issue with that. Like I know I've heard so much that they played well, but that just watching that last third period
yeah.
and like that's against a team that can do that to you. And like you need to like even when it's 3-2, you need to learn how to stop the bleeding and stuff.
That's I was talking to Drydy about that yesterday, and that's what it seems like this team is doing now. Is it's good they're going to their old habit of like when something goes bad, they're like, oh my god, instead of like bearing down and like trying to like weather it, they just fold, and it showed in the Avalanche game. Like, the Avs scored with on like a nothing play too, with like I think like less than 2 seconds left in the second, and that just gave them all the life that they needed going into the third. And at the end of the day, like, Vancouver did a pretty good job of containing like Nathan McKinnon for a lot of that game. There's you don't contain a guy like Nathan McKinnon for a full 60 minutes. It just does not happen. And
No, especially the way he's on this year.
yeah, yeah, Nathan McKinnon will be brought up later in a
Okay.
question. Yeah,
That's surprising for me as well. All
yeah.
right, good to know.
Well, it's a question that I'm gonna ask you to wrap this thing up, but I brought it up to Drydy yesterday. I want to get your opinion on it too. Sticking to the Avalanche game though, yeah, the team really folded. And like, officiating is always a hot topic in the NHL. That's how it goes. At the end of the day, I want to talk about the Ian Cole penalty, and it was a penalty. I will say that it was a hook, and it should have been called. But I think you can call Nathan McKinnon for an embellishment there as well. Like, the dude acted like he just had his guts ripped out by like a sword. Like, it was brutal, man. Like, that guy, the cell job he pulled on that was pretty jokes. And like, Vancouver, especially like lately too, Canucks fans, like, we're all complaining about referees a lot. And if you look across the league, it's happening quite a bit. But
It always happens.
they shot themselves in the foot. Like, that's what this team
Yeah.
does. And they put themselves in a position where they don't leave the referee any choice but to make the call, right? So I just think, as much as we can blame referees, like, the referee didn't force Carson Soucy to get a puck over glass penalty.
Sky that thing
Yeah.
with
Uh,
7 seconds left.
yeah, like, the referee didn't force him to do that. Do you think this team's penalty trouble is something that, like, is, like, just based on their play style, or do you think they're just getting, like, unfortunate, like, not unfortunate calls, but, like, at the end of the day, it's hockey, illegal things happen all the time. Do you just think that they're unfortunately just getting caught more often than they were before?
I think it's just way too hard without having so much bias. Like Manson hitting or whoever was it that hit Miller in the head and they
Yeah,
get nothing,
that I
right?
was
Like
gonna
I
bring that
think
up
about
after.
those. I think about when like PD gets hooked or like thrown down or something. Hughes gets bullshit thrown his way. So I don't think like I can be like, oh yeah, these calls should have gone this way or that call should have gone that way. Like literally, I think last game PD had a pretty juicy dive as well
Yeah.
that I thought the one where he's interfered with. So it
Oh, yeah.
happens, and I'm just too biased for that scenario. I agree with your original take that at the end of the day, they're not making us blow these leads. They're letting Colorado get back in. They're giving them chances, and
Yeah.
it's tough. And like our power play is terrible. Special teams can have an effect. I think I saw a tweet that out of the last 22 games, we've blown 5 multi-goal leads,
Yeah.
3 of them being 3-goal leads, like the Minnesota, Toronto, and now Colorado.
Yeah.
Like those are like I don't care about the reffing at the except for the Minnesota game. Minnesota game was wild for
That was
penalties.
crazy.
That one's a complete outlier. The refs just played that was their Hall of Fame game. They were going for something there. But everything else, yeah, pens or something. They have it this way.
Yeah.
Like maybe they went terribly bad in our favor. Like for even for a month straight, I think since the All Star break, we've had dog shit luck just on how refs are calling stuff.
Yeah.
And like Washington, we can get over that with the icing as well. Like we just had a lot of bad calls go our way, and it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
But on top of that, much bigger portion is how the boys are just playing, not a full
Yeah.
60, playing way too timid and stuff like that. So refs, nah, that's my take on that.
No, I 100% agree. If we're talking about the Ian Cole hook is like one of the bigger talking points that came out of the
Yeah,
game, and I think I understand where both sides are coming from. Like, yes, you will call that like that is a hook, right? But we have seen NHL referees let it go in the past, and I think the fact that the Vancouver is already down 5-on-4 to for that to be the penalty that puts them down 5-on-3, I see the frustration from it. There's also a play later on in the third period where Vancouver's up 5-on-4. Quinn Hughes takes a high stick from Nichushkin. It goes uncalled. That's another one of those things where it's like, okay, like if you're calling the Ian Cole thing, you should probably call that thing. Um, but that still wasn't even like it's crazy that like McKinnon being called out for embellishment by the Canucks fans and Avs fans being like, "That's a penalty on Ian Cole any day of the week." That wasn't even the biggest penalty of the game. The biggest penalty of the game happened, I think, with 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes left in the first, with Josh Manson hit JT Miller right in the head. And I want to get your opinion before I say mine. Do you think it should have been a 5 in a game?
I saw the replay. Yeah, the 100% should be.
Yeah.
It should at least be a game. Like he should get tossed out of the game for that. Like I just
Yeah.
don't get. It's a clear target to the head. Like he sees Miller the whole way. It's not like a hit to the back either, where you can say like he turned or like Miller did something where he moved his head. Masson straight up hits the guy in the head,
Yeah.
and like I just don't get how you don't call that. And you call it two. It's not like
Mhm.
one of those ones you miss either. You look at that and call it a two.
They called
You
it
can even
2
call it a
minutes.
five to review.
They called it a 2. This part is the part that gets me. 2 minutes for an illegal check to the head. That's what the penalty was. An illegal
Yeah.
check to the head was a 2-minute penalty. It's ridiculous.
I think I'm contradicting myself from a previous pod on this, but like this is my original take now. Is this is my take, right? Or for what it is. I think they do stuff where it's like if they're injured, they're gonna give them five and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think there is rare players in the league that actually intend to injure. So you can't just go off, oh well, he wasn't injured, so it's a two.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, those hits, like the people will toe the line as long as they're only gonna get two unless the guy's injured. And at that point, like I don't think any player does it to a high level. But I
Yeah.
don't think anyone actually goes out with thought, okay, I'm going to injure this guy and just get my 5 minute major or whatever. Like you hit Miller there and he's out for three weeks. Like then it's going to be a five. Like Miller stays on the ground, it's going to be
Yeah,
five.
that's a
We're
big
talking about
thing.
embellishment and stuff.
Yeah.
That's one throws me. Like, it's a clear check to the head in a vulnerable position. It should just be a five right away if they want to call it like that. If they want to consistently, I just don't
Mhm.
like how it has to be an injury for them to call it like that.
Yeah. No, 100%. I I feel like we've talked about this enough, especially on Twitter and stuff like that, and I'm kinda over the hit. There is a talking point of Josh Manson was going at Miller for a majority of the first period, and rightfully so, dude. Miller came out of a cannon in that first period. Like, he was driving the
Yeah,
offense for the team, and he was being just like a bona fide power forward. The hit, it just I don't understand, like, the thought process that went with Manson. Just even watching it on, like, TV and just hearing Ray Ferraro just go, "Oh, that's a bad hit," right?
yeah,
He sees his head the whole time, and it's like Miller doesn't move from the position he was in, like, 5 seconds prior to getting hit. Like, he was still in
yeah.
that position. So Yeah, it's a bad hit. It probably should have been called a 5, but NHL officials have a hard job. Everybody knows it. Everybody beats up on them for it, and Vancouver had a 3-0 lead. Like, they still should have won the game
Yeah.
regardless.
That
And
hit's just outside, completely outside the game. That's not
yeah,
why we lost the game. I agree with
no,
that. Yeah, that 3-0, goddamn.
3-0 against the Colorado Avalanche on a back-to-back. Like, Colorado's a sick team. You gotta find a way to close that out. You just have
Yeah,
to.
we gotta be a sick team as well.
Our team's sick, and not in the good way, because
They're
they follow up the loss by the Colorado Avalanche with a loss to the lowly, fighting for their lives
how
Washington
lonely are they?
Capitals.
They're in the playoffs,
Are
aren't
they?
they?
I don't think so.
I
But
think Washington's in the playoffs.
Dylan Strome's their leading point scorer and like goal scorer right now. So
You say your piece about this, but I'll look to see if they're
oh,
in the playoffs.
yeah, shouldn't be losing to the Washington Capitals. The thing I said to Dridey yesterday is this team has like had their feast for a majority of the year, and now they're fat and happy. You know, like they're just
I
sitting.
don't agree with that actually.
You don't think so?
I don't think they're fat and happy. Garland goes and fights in the thing. You can see Hughes multiple times this year smash his deck. This team is not content. I will not give them that. They don't think they deserve a win. Talk has had the boys shaped up. They've had issues. The power play is not hitting. It's a skill problem, it's something like that. I don't think it's an attitude problem at all. I don't agree that they're fat and content, as you and Dottie were probably saying.
I was
I
just
don't think this team is.
in my defense. I was coming fresh off the loss yesterday, so as a different
No, no, it's
different
fair. I don't like to
emotion.
talk about the psychology of the players, but
Yeah,
I just don't think like Garland's fighting in the practice and stuff like that. This team does not like losing. They
yeah,
haven't made the playoffs this year. I don't think they're going in with confidence. Like it's not like Tampa when they came in against Columbus, right? They've been a playoff team for a while. They
yeah.
had stuff. It's this team knows that they need to prove it. They don't get their dues around the league. People are saying they're good, but no one's saying that. No one's calling them a contender and stuff. How
No,
are they going to do in the playoffs? I don't. I think this team is pissed off, angry, and they need to fix it, but I think they want to fix it as well.
yeah. Okay, I'll I'll second that. Honestly, I was just
Nice.
I was in a pretty upset mood yesterday, losing to the Capitals, but the
Yeah,
only,
losing on Saturday to the Caps. Come on.
yeah, the problem I had with it is it's once again it feels like we're seeing the team of old, you know, where it went bad. Like the Canucks get scored on once, and then it's just like they panicked and just went into full meltdown mode. And the Caps scored like what 2 goals, and I don't even remember how like quick it was. It wasn't like the quickest thing in the world, but they were relatively like back to back, and then they just started getting caved in like continuously. And it wasn't until the
Yeah.
third period that the team actually like seemed like they were fighting back. And it's the same routine. It's the same sort of movie that we saw with these guys last year. You know, like one thing goes bad, and all of a sudden everything's going to go bad. Do
Yeah,
you?
43 shots in those two games is like total.
Mhm.
It's not what you want to see.
No, no, especially. I mean, you can talk about PDO and all that stuff. Vancouver was always all season has been selective shooters. Like they don't shoot for the sake of shooting. But against a Caps team whose goalie, shout out Charlie Lindgren, you had a great game, bro. But like you should you should be beating the Washington Capitals, who have Dylan Strome as their point scoring leader.
They're just out of the playoffs, by the way. They're 2 points back at Tampa and 1 point back at Detroit with 2 games in hand. So
How many points do they have?
could be in the playoffs. They have 73.
So you're saying we have almost 20 more points. We had what, 20 more
Oh, yeah.
points? We had
Yeah.
20 more points than them, and they mollywopped
Now
us on
you're now
defense.
you're sounding content over there with this
No,
team.
no, it's not even the fact that like we lost, bro. It's the fact that like we got smothered in the offensive zone up until the like
Fair
maybe
enough.
like 15, maybe like 10 minutes left in the third. Like they were keeping us to the outside, dude. They were playing playoff style hockey, and the team just was not being able to break through. And that's the part that's like freaking me out about them.
I don't think it's freak out time though. Like at all.
I
Like silver lining. we've lost both games. We had those dominant games against uh LA, Vegas, and Winnipeg, and then these last two have been one goal games. We take away one bad period in Colorado, and even if we lost this Washington, we'd be singing the praises of the Canucks, except
Yeah.
for their power play, which is fucking atrocious.
They
Makes me want to throw up.
that's I'd be okay. I'm down to switch over to that. What are your thoughts? How do
Sorry, yeah,
you
that one just
No,
oh god.
I agree. How do you fix it? I don't understand. How does he
I don't I don't know enough about hockey, or I don't know. I'm not gonna even pretend like I know better than these goddamn coaches. What I want them to do, and I get why teams never do this because they want their players to perform now, is I want them to sit the four main Besser, Miller, Hughes, and PD, and then whoever they think is gonna be the best. If they want to do Hoglander, Garland, Lindholm, you can cycle them for all I care.
Mhm,
But keep those four core there and let them just work until it works. Because we
mhm.
were in the playoffs, we're guaranteed it. I know you want to make your seating matter, but that power play has to get fixed and it has to just get reps at this point
Yeah,
until it works.
I'll second that. It's just it doesn't seem like there's any sort of piece that's gonna click with it as of right now,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Oh god, the zone entries just they kill me. They
it's
kill
brutal.
me to watch.
Well, the whole positioning on that power play, like, it seems like it's going back to normal, but at one point, I swear to God, I saw Pedersen playing net front, and I'm like, "Why is Pedersen playing net front? Like, what is going on?" It doesn't make any sense, or there was one where, it was the second power play unit, Garland was in left circle, and then Lindholm was in right circle, and I'm like, what are you I don't understand what they're going for, this team?
Experimenting.
I guess, but, I mean, it's they gotta figure it out. They gotta figure it out fast because the power play legitimately is costing them games.
Yeah.
They
No.
they
It definitely is.
yeah, they look so, like, just not lethal on it, and it's shocking with the, like, caliber of talent that they have there.
They've like yeah, the power play. I don't know what it. Yeah, that's the thing. The caliber of players should not be having that much trouble scoring on the power play. And on top of not scoring, it's not like they're not getting bounces or something. It's like they're not even getting chances.
They
It's just around and around. They
pass.
pass it until they
Yeah,
lose, and it's just frustrating to watch.
they pass, and then they fumble the puck. They don't even like, nobody
Yeah,
pressures them. They
and
just
they will
fumble
not
the
get back in
puck.
the zone.
No,
They're that dog on our entry.
here's the
I
thing.
hand to God, you and me couldn't defend that. Honestly,
Here's the thing.
I could shut down the boys if they're trying to enter the zone.
Them trying to break the zone, oh my god, it was yesterday's game. Ray Ferraro called it out. He said something. They dumped it in, and Ray Ferraro was like, and then the puck comes back out, and Ray Ferraro was like, "Well, what do you expect to happen when you dump it in and you just have 5 guys standing at the blue line?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
it's facts." And I hate to dig on the team a little bit, but man, dude, this team is low key, like, they're so lazy when it comes to leaving the zone too. Like like
lazy, they
it's
say.
so it's pretty funny. But yeah, no, the power play needs to get fixed, and it needs to get fixed ASAP. It doesn't make any sense how you have, 2 guys like the Sedins who are just absolute power play specialists in their time, and they can't help with this. Like,
What are the Sedins supposed to say?
I
Hey, telepathically know where the guy is on
do
the backboard?
something. No,
Sedins are
you
too good,
you
actually.
sit there and you say, "Can you not do the same thing over and over and over again?" Like, "Quinn, I wonder what you're gonna do when you get at the blue line." "Oh, right, a little toe drag into the glove? Nice, nice, nice."
Don't disrespect his toe drags. I love
It's
Hughes' toe
it's
drags.
electric, but, like, it's predictable, man. It's very, very predictable. Or yesterday against the Capitals, Miller was on the half wall. He was finally where he was supposed to be, and every time he'd get the puck, he'd, like, back skate in towards the boards. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Go leave the zone, come back in, and take a goddamn shot." I'm sick of you. Like, this team needs to figure it out. I'm starting to
yeah,
get
that
frustrated.
that power play is frustrating the fuck out of me.
Uh, I I do believe they're gonna figure it out. That's my big thing. I 100% think they'll figure it out, and if they don't, then, well, what can you
I
really do?
don't I'm not worried until April at this point. I'm not worried till
No,
game 1,
no.
honestly. Enough to figure it out. The team's good. The only one I'm really worried about is Lindholm.
Really?
Just Guy just hasn't meshed whatsoever. What line is he playing on now? I've lost track.
He plays with Garland and Podkolzin.
When Joshua's back, where's he gonna play? Like I want them going back to Bluger, Garland, and Joshua for like at least 5-10 games before I break that line up again.
Fucking Pedersen. That's where he's gonna play.
He doesn't look good with Pedersen. He doesn't look good when
Oh,
he's not.
he doesn't look bad with what's it called? Also, Ricky, Sam Lafferty on the first line, that's not the play. I don't know how many times we gotta talk about this. It's
No
getting
disrespect.
frustrating. No, I
Last he
love
had a good run at the beginning when he was on the first line.
yeah, it just seems like the whole everybody thinks that like you can make the next Alex Burrows, and it's not gonna work. Like Alex Burrows was a special player, and he played to like his play catered towards the Sedins. If I have to watch
Yeah.
Sam Lafferty try to break the puck in, he went to chip in charge yesterday and put it in the bench. He was like 7 feet from the bench.
I, I'm not gonna sit here and hear my bald boy slandered right now, right? No. Get, Alright, yeah, get him off the first line though. Come on. You're not helping anyone.
Yeah, dude. He's oh my god, one thing we have to talk about before we switch over and then wrap it up. Ilya Mikheyev.
Yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
He has had a good last few games, and
Yes.
he what did I think it was it against the Avalanche? It was against the Avalanche. Ilya
Yeah.
Mikheyev for the first time like 35 plus games or whatever the heck it was, scores a goal. Now, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on
Um,
Ilya
well,
Mikheyev being in the top 6 for the playoffs?
what the hell? If this gives him a little confidence, maybe. Drydy went to the Winnipeg game. He would tell
Mhm,
you if he was here, but obviously he didn't show up to the pod today. But
mhm.
he went to the Winnipeg game. Great game to go to for Canucks fans.
Yeah.
And he specifically mentioned to me that Mikheyev looked nuts out there. And he did. From like watching from my couch or Nate's couch because I was watching with him.
Yep.
He looked good out there. He's speedy. He just has no finish and he has no danger.
No hands, no nothing, no
No hands.
IQ.
But Dotty's hit him and he look no shooting IQ. He's got everything. He's got all different types of
That
IQ.
guy's
As
all
soon as
legs, all right?
he enters that blue line and it's just controller disconnected. Like guy's not all there. Good for him. He got a goal. He's not our answer in the top six.
No, I agree.
Hoglander, I would rather keep up there easily.
Yeah. Hoglander's
He assumed,
absolutely on fire. Like,
yeah.
good for
God,
him.
how do you have?
What a
He
I
was
think
the guy we were asking for too.
I remember or not remember, like, it was so long ago, but I remember seeing, like, a tweet, and I think he has, like, the 4th, like, best, like, value contract or some shit like that right now. Not, like,
Hell yeah.
overall, or I don't
I
remember.
love it. I love advanced stats when they show me random stuff like
Yeah,
that. Hoglander's the fourth best value.
I think it
Hell
was
yeah,
for, like,
brother.
guys less than, like, I don't know, like, maybe, like, 1,000,000 or 2, but, like, I think he was, like, 4th best behind, like, Michael Carconi or something like that and some other guys, but dude,
Just an
Hoglander,
absolute shooter out there.
1,100,000, he's a 20 goal scorer. That's
Yeah.
crazy. 25 on 5 goals, more than anything. Um, good for him, man.
I
Like,
guess we can go full circle here, but like he was probably the holdup in Gensel trade. I think if we dangle Hoglander in as a main piece, we're getting Gensel. So
yeah.
I stand by them not trading Hoglander though.
Oh,
As much as I love going all in, that's too much of a piece to give up,
I
especially the
know.
cost of his contract.
It should have been Ilya Mikheyev. If they accepted Michael Bunting, take Ilya Mikheyev. Had
Yeah,
they
true. He's an old Toronto boy for Dubas or not? Yeah, for Dubas as well.
Dubas, dumbass.
Okay,
Okay.
ask me your ending question. Unless you got any more Canuck stuff to go here.
No Canucks stuff. Is there any sort of news around the league you wanted to talk about? Anything before I ask you the question that had me and Dreddy split yesterday?
Wow. Kyrie Irving had a nasty buzzer beater
That's a
today.
wrong sport.
Yeah, but it was nasty. That transcends sport. You hit
Mm,
a you hit a left-handed floater over Joker to win the game. You're getting a shout out on the pod,
all
right?
right, all right. Nathan McKinnon set up a nasty buzzer beater against the Edmonton Oilers last night.
Yeah, I passed out during the Canucks game, and I woke up to the Oilers OT. I was like, "Oh, this is pretty electric," and then, yeah, that kick into throwing it up front.
Yeah, Nate Mack. He's a really good player. Let me
Okay,
tell
say
you.
your piece.
All right. So my question, I brought it up to Driddy yesterday. I'll tell you what our answer is after. Is Nathan McKinnon a generational player?
No.
Thank you.
What
Thank
did
you.
Roddy say he is?
Driddy said, I don't know how you can argue that he's not.
No.
How? Yeah, he's not a generational player. However, I will say the Colorado Avalanche do have a generational player, and that's Cale Makar.
Yeah,
Right? We're
absolutely.
so in sync. We need Driddy out of here at 24. Like, that guy's chalked. His hockey takes are
Just you and
brutal.
me repeating each other, right? Like,
Yeah.
come on. Just
I
2
want
parrots going at it here.
when we talk to him later, I want to bring this up. I want you to be like, Driddy, he's not a generational player. And Dridey said for not just his point total, but his leadership. And I said, does that make Patrice Bergeron a generational player? And he said, no. And
They
I was like, leadership. I was like, he's probably one of the best leaders of all time, you know?
I think he's got generational attributes, but he's not a like McDavid's a generational, obviously. Crosby's generational. Man, I
Mhm.
start arguing against Ovi, but Ovi is generational. He's that good of a goal scorer. I'll
Yeah.
toss him in there. But like Patty Kane's got generational hands. Datsuk had generational hands. You know, stuff like that. Nate Mack, he's got generational, like how he uses his size and speed. It's actually kind of nuts to watch. Like
Yeah.
an absolute, you don't see many players like that. But he doesn't have the full like dominance of these generational players.
He
He's
also,
won 1 cup. No, does he even have any individual awards?
no, I don't think so. I also,
You could maybe he could become generational. Maybe if he has a few strings, a few seasons together. But like generational is it's an insane jump to make.
I think generational is one of those things where it has to be considered generational from, like, your first 2 years in the league. If you think about guys like Crosby and Ovechkin, they were tearing it up from day 1. Day
Yeah.
1. Connor McDavid, tearing it up since day 1. If we're looking at point totals, I think calling Nathan MacKinnon generational is kinda disrespectful to Connor McDavid because I was looking at it last night. I'm gonna read you off Nathan MacKinnon's career, like, year by year point total, right? So,
Yeah, he has a bit of injury troubles though.
63 points in year 1, and then,
Give the
followed it
games.
okay, 63 points, 82 games,
Yeah.
38 points, 64 games, 52 points, 72 games, 53 points, 82 games. Then he goes 97 points in 74 games, 99
That's
points in
insane.
82 games, 93 points in 69 games. Wait, 93.69 games, 65 points in 48 games, 88 points in 65 games, 111 in 71 last year, 116 and 68 this year.
Yeah, he's not generational. He's
That's not
nasty this year though.
the
He could get up there if he just I don't know, just strings together. But like generational just such a like if you're calling him generational, what are you calling McDavid?
Here we go. So now I'm gonna read you McDavid's stat line. And this is where like the difference really like came in. So Connor McDavid in year number 1, 45 points or 45 games played, 48 points. Year 2, 82 games played, 100 points. 82 games played, 108 points. 78 games played, 116 points. 64 games played, 97 points. 56 games played, 105 points. 80 games played, 123 points. 82 games played, 153 points. And 63 games played, 106 points. 153 points in a year.
Yeah.
That's
Just
ridiculous.
McKinnon's the best franchise player in the league. I'll give him that, right? But you can only really have 1 or 2, maybe 3 generational players at a time. And like could he enter that tier? Like what is it right now? Ovi and Crosby from the past generation.
Yeah,
I don't consider Patrick Kane generational. I
I
know
don't
some people
either.
do. I don't. Okay, perfect. We're
Yeah,
matching. And then there's McDavid, and maybe you can make some argument. Just McDavid just so much better
he
than
is.
everyone else.
He's gonna hit
I think
1,000 points next year.
McKinnon's the second best player in the league. Do you?
To me,
This year he is.
yes, 100%. I would even argue
Yeah.
last year he was. I
Okay.
think I think Nathan McKinnon's a great player, and I think the big thing with Nathan McKinnon, like, he's not a generational, but he's a franchise 1A, and then there is, like, nobody else is in that tier, for me personally.
Austin Matthews?
That was another guy I kinda wanted to list under the G category because of the goal scoring
Oh, you
prowess.
want to toss him shit? You don't even say it so we can clip the pod.
Yeah.
Leave it on the
Just
line.
I contemplated it because of his goal scoring, prowess. If he
Yeah,
hits here's the thing, he's not gonna, but if he hits 70 goals this year, he's 100% it.
because Matt Marner got injured, man. Guy's a product of him.
But no, I love Nathan McKinnon. He's not a generational player. This is definitely gonna go on Twitter, and and yeah, it's just how it goes, I guess. Is
Fair
there
enough.
anything you wanted to add to that before I wrap this up?
Nah. You want me to list off the Canucks the next few games?
Yeah,
I have them up. Canucks will play Tuesday against the Sabres, Thursday against the Canadiens, and Saturday Hockey Night in Canada against the
it's like
Flames.
Calgary Flames,
Yeah,
Flames,
honestly, it should be nice
Flames.
3 games there. Just love seeing Buffalo come into town though. Just a fan favorite. They're just gonna
Bu-
watch Darlene and Tage.
Buffalo's on a heater too. They're uh,
Are
they're
they?
they're gunning for playoffs. Uko Pekka, 4 in a row wins.
Hey,
I think he has like the most wins like fucking March or something. The guy's on
dude, I want to face
fire.
teams that are just fighting for the playoffs. Every minute matters to them. So,
Mhm.
oh,
Hey,
random shout out around the league is Minnesota pulling their goalie in overtime.
yeah.
Goddamn, is it Dean Evanson?
No, I think he got tossed. John Haynes.
I should, I should know who their coach is, but it's fine. Whoever their goddamn coach is, I love that innovative shit. Every point matters. Need to get it. Don't want a coin flip and shootout. Pull your goalie and get the goal. God damn, that's electric.
John Hines.
John
Yeah,
Hines. All right,
yeah,
fair enough.
that's what it is.
Dean Evanson might have been their old coach.
No,
John
he was. He got
Hines. All right.
Dean Evison got fired in November. A lot of firings. A lot of firings. Um, yeah, no. I think for me, that's it. I got nothing else to say. You're good to go.
Woo. Yeah.
All right.
Am I doing the outro?
Do you want to do it?
Huh? Don't know how.
All
I
right.
don't know any I don't know any of our handles.
Um, well, thank you guys so much for listening. You can check us out on Insta and X, or aka Twitter, at What the Nuck Pod, and our YouTube channel and TikTok is at What the Nuck. This has been the What the Nuck podcast without Dryden. That's why this one's been so good. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.